It is time to get a swift kick in the ads. That's right, the 4-week Facebook Ads Bootcamp is rebooting and kicking off again at the beginning of May. So I wanted to give you that heads up. My name is Amanda Robinson, I am the Digital Gal, and today on What in the Ads is Going On, we are deep diving into, well actually that's a lie, we're not even deep diving. We're talking about pixels. We're going over the basics of what the heck is a Facebook pixel, where do you get it, where do you put it, what does it do, and just breaking it back down to the very simple basics. Because right now, with the updates with Apple's iOS 14 app tracking transparency privacy rolling out next week, we're going to have some changes, and a lot of those involve your Pixel. So we're not going to go quite down that road right now. We're going to just focus a little bit more on what the heck is your Pixel, where do you find it, what do you do with it. In the meantime, I will get this party started, and drop in the comments, let me know that you are here. All right, welcome back, everybody. I got rid of my little floppy hat there. All right, so we are going to be covering everything to do with pixels. We have, and Alicia is here. Alicia, I'm so glad that you're here. So many changes that you're seeing right now driving you crazy. Honestly, with Facebook advertising right now, I've said this to a few people, but I don't envy other people similar to myself who have chosen Facebook advertising as a profession. Right now, it's a little challenging. The amount of changes that are happening behind the scenes right now are overwhelming, and some of the other struggles I'm noticing are involve ad costs going up, ad performance going down. The whole system seems to be just a little bit out of whack right now. And my assumption is that Facebook is making a lot of changes behind the scenes leading up to the changes with Apple's iOS 14 update, which, again, I'll tuck in a little more information near the end of this broadcast on that. But the majority of this broadcast here, I'm just going to be focusing a little bit more on the lighter touch points of what your actual Pixel is, what it does, where you find it, how you install it, some of that information, because these are deeper conversations. I think the whole what is the Pixel, we need to have that conversation and understanding first before we can get deeper into, well, how is this going to impact advertisers as far as Apple reducing some access to information, etc., etc. So in this broadcast, this is what in the ads is going on. We are going to be discussing what is your Pixel, where do you put it, where can you get your own Pixel, what are standard events versus custom conversions. So it's like very big jargon, but realistically I can break them down into very simple terms for you. And then, can you actually run ads without a Pixel? And heads up, the answer is yes. Now, before we get into all of that, I have a little bit of housekeeping, some dates and everything that's happening. Pressy is here. Pressy, it's great to see you. By the way, you've been looking fabulous lately. Every time I see you online on your TikToks or on Facebook, you're always smiling, and it's very inspiring for me. So thank you. Watch you. Okay, now I'm a little bit jealous. See, I'm not exactly on the beach right now, but I'm trying to have that brighter beachside look. I actually went beach camping this past weekend. I went off-grid for 24 hours, but I went out to Sombrio Beach here on Vancouver Island and packed the tent, packed the dog, and went off and did an overnight with no cell service. And it was really nice for me to be able to just sort of unplug for a little bit. And I've got all the gear from when I was road tripping and traveling, so sleeping in a tent, camping, it's not, I know it, it doesn't fit this. But yes, I did bring the pink high heels camping with me because why not? And it was good. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I've been struggling a little bit, to be honest, with lately just feeling, it's tough. I mean, my mom is back in Ontario. I'm in British Columbia. My brothers are in Vancouver, but with the travel restrictions right now, you can't really go and visit because of the pandemic. All of my friends are in the United States, most of them, or living in other countries. So I can't just hop on a plane and go and visit people. I'm kind of, I don't want to say stuck. I mean, I'm in a very beautiful place, but lately it's been adding up. So it was me going camping was that one thing to say, I need something to go look forward to. And that was, and I love camping. I love it. So I packed everything up, went and made that happen, and it was something to look forward to, and I really enjoyed it. So thank you. Thanks for that. Some housekeeping, not really housekeeping, some exciting stuff that's going on. Next week is the Midwest Digital Marketing Conference, and I'm going to be speaking at this conference as well as running 2 Facebook ads workshops. So I've got lots of opportunities for you to learn Facebook ads happening here. One is through the Midwest Digital Marketing Conference. You can check them out online and sign up for one of those workshops if you want, and check out the live session. So I'm going to be talking everything Facebook ads related next week with MDMC. And then there's also the week after that, the 4-week Facebook Ads Bootcamp kicks off again. It runs roughly, I was saying it ran every other month, but with trying to keep up with all of Facebook's changes, it's running quarterly at this point. So the next one kicks off on May 4th. So if you want to learn Facebook ads and you want to sign up for the Facebook Ads 4-week bootcamp, where you learn how to create ads using Ads Manager, how to do your own audiences and targeting, how to manage your budget and create a strategy around that budget, and then how to understand how to read the reporting and then optimize your ads to make them better and improve them, then the Facebook Ads 4-week bootcamp is definitely where you want to start. And you get that by becoming a member of Swift Kickin' the Ads. So you can head on over to swiftkickintheads.com, check that out. That kicks off on May 4th. What else have I got? Oh yeah, upcoming live show. So there's this one here. We're going to chat pixels, and I'm going to get right into it in the next minute or so. And then tomorrow, I'm digging into everything to do with Creator Studio. So if you've been using Facebook, you've known that Creator Studio is around. If you use video content whatsoever, if you post videos on Facebook, if you do live videos, if you have video playlists, anything of that nature, if you touch video on Facebook, you're going to want to get familiar with Creator Studio and see the power that's in behind Creator Studio for managing your videos. So that's happening tomorrow on the Video Marketing Show, and that's happening at 1 o'clock p.m. Pacific tomorrow. And then on Friday, I'm really, really excited about this. I get to join the one and only Stephanie Liu on her Digital Confetti show, and we're going to be geeking out about how to repurpose your live streams. So all of that, lots going on. And then and Chad is in the house. Did someone say videos? Yes, we did. You'll want to check that out. Chad, it's great to have you. I love, honestly, between Chad, Alicia, Pressy, everybody who is watching here right now, drop comments, let me know you're here. There's some really, really brilliant minds that I'm seeing here in the comments. So thank you for joining me. All right. Let's do this. Let's talk pixels. So let's keep it basic. Let me jump into what the heck is a pixel. So let me just show you. Oh, I've got my filter back on. Let me switch back to this one here. Nope. There we go. Nope. That's the one I want. Yes. All right. So what is a pixel? So let's pull this one up to start. When you're in Facebook, you can go into Events Manager. If you already have a pixel created, you can find it in Events Manager. We'll get into that in a little bit. Annette! Annette is watching. Annette! It's good to see you here from all the way from Australia. Thank you for tuning in. And that's like one of my... I think like Annette is like a mirror copy of like my spirit animal, but on the other side of the world. So your Facebook pixel, what it is, you can either have just your tiny little pixel code just like this, where it's just that tiny little snippet of that pixel ID. So if you have a website that you're trying to put your pixel on, your website might just be asking you just for your pixel ID. That's what it is. It's just a number. However, if you need to go and grab your entire pixel code and go and put that onto your website, this is what that looks like. Let me pull that one down. Nope, it is this one. Okay. Scoot, scoot, scoot. That is what a pixel code looks like. It's literally just a paragraph of code. It's a tiny little snippet of coding that goes onto your website or onto an external website, whether you're using landing pages like ClickFunnels or lead pages or Unbounce, or if you have third-party sites, like I use it for my Calendly when people are booking calls with me. I can put my pixel on Calendly. I can also put my pixel into ManyChat, and I use ManyChat for my messenger marketing chat bots. So any external site that isn't Facebook, and an external site that you either own or you have the rights to be able to put a pixel on, that's what we're looking at here. So it's these two things. Let me move this one around. Let me pull this one up. And let me move it over there. And let me pull the other one back up again. All right, so it's going to be either or. You're either going to be trying to put in just the pixel ID if the site is prompting you just for a pixel ID, or you're going to be using the entire code and putting that in. But Facebook has a way of walking you through step by step. It has a setup guide. So depending on what website you're using, whether you're using Wix or Squarespace or WordPress, or if you are using Shopify, Facebook has guided setup instructions for how to set all of these up as you're going through. So let's talk about what is a pixel. Evie, Evie, I can't not smile when you jump on a broadcast. I'm glad that you're here. And Annette is saying pixel on Calendly. Wowzers. I have such limited knowledge on anything with that much code sitting with it. It looks scary. And you know what? This is, Annette, you are exactly who I'm speaking to in this, for the purpose of this broadcast. If that little snippet of code makes you go, whoa, then you're the conversation. You're who I'm talking to today. And Evie, yay, love smiles. Mwah, I'm so glad you're here. All right, so don't be intimidated by the pixel. It's just it's a fancy way of saying it's a little piece of tracking. So let's put it this way. Imagine, so what is a pixel? What is it doing? Let's start there. So when you have traffic, you have people on Facebook and they're browsing Facebook, say they're browsing, say they're browsing on their phone, they're browsing traffic, and then they click on something and that click takes them off of Facebook. Well, we want to be able to track people once they leave Facebook and lands on an external site. We want to know what they're up to. We want to be able to track them, add them to our audiences of people that we can retarget or remarket to with ads at a later date so that we can increase our audience sizes of people who have been to our website or people who have taken actions on our websites. So when somebody leaves Facebook, they're browsing, they find something interesting, they click, and then they leave Facebook's environment and they go off to an external website. Let's pretend that's your website. Well, if you don't have that little snippet, that tiny little piece of tracking code living on your website, then Facebook completely loses visibility of you when you leave Facebook's environment. So if you click off of the app and you're navigating elsewhere, Facebook is kind of like shipping you off and sending off and going, okay, good luck. Bye. Have fun. But they don't really know after you've clicked if you actually made it to the site, if you got lost along the way, or if you're even coming back. They don't even know. They can't track all of that. And once you're gone, they don't know if you're making purchases. So all those ads that you're using to try and encourage those sales, Facebook is like, hey, we got you the click. But that's all we know. We don't know what they actually did. We don't know if they purchased. So that's where the pixel comes in handy. It's that little tiny piece of tracking that it's like a send and receive. You're sending traffic off of Facebook to a website, and if the pixel is sitting on the website, that website receives the traffic, sends a little signal back to Facebook going, hey guys, they made it here. It's like picking up the telephone and confirming like, hey, Facebook, the traffic made it here. It's good. Yeah. Nope, they're cool. They're happy. They're fine. Oh, and guess what? They're browsing. They're adding to cart. They purchased. So Facebook, thanks for sending that traffic over from that particular ad. I really appreciate that. Cool. Bye. So that's essentially, in a very, very, very basic nutshell, of what's happening when you have a pixel on an external site. It's just allowing you to be able to track those movements, that those behaviors, the actions that people are taking on your site, taking that information, packaging it back up into Facebook speak, into Facebook language, sending it back over to Facebook so Facebook can interpret that and understand and have visibility to what the people were doing when they got to your site. Facebook calling home. When we talk about repurposing content, I think that's the snippet that I'm going to be pulling out of this whole broadcast and repurposing that. Yeah. All right, so that's the basics of what a pixel is. Now let's talk about where do you put the pixel. So the pixel goes into the header of your website. So what the heck is the header? Rose! Rose is here. Oh, you're here. I love that every single person commenting right now. I'm like, I know everybody. This is great. And we have Lorena is here. Love the phone call analogy. I talk a lot in analogies and metaphors and examples that I usually say whatever pops to my mind. And sometimes I even question myself. but that's how my brain works. And that's how I like to be able to break it down to business owners. Instead of using really technical language and very confusing things, I like to just make things simple, break it down in very simple terms so it's easier to understand. Because then when we get into the more complicated stuff, like the iOS 14 stuff that we'll talk about in a little bit, it makes a little more sense as to why all of this is happening. So we understand the pixel is a tiny little snippet of code. It's going to go live on your website. It's Facebook calling home. You guys are the best. This is making me smile so much right now, and I needed this little boost today. Thank you. So Facebook sending the traffic over. Website's calling Facebook, letting them know traffic's made it there. But where does this code go when you go to install it? What's happening with this code? It lives in the header of your website. In the header of your website, think about it this way. When you have a website, imagine just a typical standard website that we're mostly familiar with, where you have, you can click on the logo and it'll bring you back to the home page. You can click on About Us. You can click on Contact Us. You have navigations in that top menu. You usually have like a menu screen of tabs that just usually stay the same from every page you navigate to. So if I go to the blog, I can still click on some of the menu items at the top and go to Contact Us, or go to About Us, or go to Pricing, whatever. Those are usually anchored into the header. The header is the very first thing on the page that loads. So before all of the content on that page loads, before all the pretty pictures load, the fonts, the colors, the everything, all of the actual content, before the content even loads, the header of that site is going to load and fire first. So that's why we want the code in the header of your website, because that header is typically staying the same across all pages that you visit across that site. So whether you're on my blog, whether you're on my contact me page, media room, Swift Kick in the ads, doesn't matter. The header stays constant and the same across all of those pages. So we want your pixel on every page on your website, everywhere, globally. So the best place to put it is in the header of the website. And we don't want it in the footer. The footer doesn't load at the same time as the header. Header fires first, that's where we want it. And now this is where you might run into some issues if you have landing pages, certain like landing page services like lead pages or ClickFunnels, where I'm not familiar with every single service, but some of those services you have to go and literally copy and paste your pixel code into every one of those new landing pages that you make. So there are some of them that allow you to apply your pixel globally to all of your landing pages, all the new ones that you create. And other services, you have to literally go into the settings of every single one of those landing pages. And this is, I'm talking about a landing page service, not your website. So you can put your pixel on lots of different places. You can sprinkle it across the web in lots of areas. But most websites now are, it's a lot easier now than it was, say, 5 years ago, where you'd go to a web designer and be like, hey, can you put my Facebook pixel on the website? And half the web designers would be like, huh? What's that? But now there's a higher amount of familiarity, and most websites and most third-party tools have a spot built in for that pixel. So the pixel lives in the header. So where do we get our pixel? So we understand what a pixel is, kind of what it's doing overall. It's going to live in the header. Oh, and the other thing is that what I like to say out of the box, the function of the pixel, out of the box, fresh, like you've just unboxed your brand new pixel. You just slapped it on your website and you're all excited because now it's starting to track traffic. What is it tracking? Well, out of the box, it's tracking a page view. That's it. That's it. That's all it's tracking. It's just tracking a page view. Now, this is if you put it on your website by yourself and you're not using any of the guided setup for things like Shopify, WooCommerce, a lot of those e-commerce sites. If you go through the setup process and you set up your pixel, they have a lot of functions already built in that are properly talking to Facebook's language and properly talking back to the e-commerce language that are automatically going to identify what an add to cart is on your website, what a purchase looks like on where that takes place on your website. It's already going to be configured in a lot of those tools. I'll use Shopify as the example. So if you connect your pixel to your Shopify, then Shopify and Facebook talk really nice together. And Shopify's already speaking Facebook's language. Facebook's already ready to receive Shopify's language. And they talk together, and Facebook knows when Shopify says, hey, we've had an add to cart. Oh, we've had an abandoned cart. All of that information is already pre-set up, and they're talking back and forth. So when you have your pixel installed through some of those third-party services, they're out of the box. They're, what are they tracking out of the box? They're coming with the full suite of everything. They're tracking it all, and they've got it all set up for you. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to think about it. Sean is here. Oh yeah, get that pixel. I love the pixel enthusiasm happening here today, because usually these are heavier topics that people aren't always as interested in. All right, so if you're using one of those third-party integrations that's fully jacked up and has all the bells and whistles and talks Facebook's language, then out of the box, you might be tracking more than just a page view. You might be tracking all of those things that we call standard events that's already set up for you. Now, if you are tracking on your own website, say you have a WordPress site, for example, and you follow the guided setup creation for installing your pixel, and you get it installed on your WordPress site, what is it tracking? It's just, I'm just going to pull this up on screen and leave it and not say anything. What is it tracking? It's tracking just page views. So it's not tracking all of the rest of those wonderful bells and whistles that sites like Shopify are going to be tracking automatically. It's just tracking a page view. What is a page view? Well, I'm one person. If I go to your website, the second that website loads, that's one page that I have viewed. Now, if I keep clicking through to other pages on your site, I might click through to, say, 5 or 6 different pages. That would be 5 or 6 different page views. One person, 5 or 6 different page views. So this gets a little bit confusing. This is the nature of this broadcast is now going to be try to make Amanda laugh on screen without making Amanda laugh on screen. All right, so tracking just page views, but one person can have many page views. So when you have your pixel installed on your website and you're back in Facebook's Events Manager and you're looking at all the traffic that you have coming through your pixel and it's tracking page views, and you look at it and you're like, oh, I've got thousands of page views. Don't get that confused with thousands of people. It's not necessarily thousands of people. It's many people viewing thousands of pages. So it's tracking page views. And then depending on what pages people go to, you can create things called custom conversions to be able to track people's behavior if they go to, say, a particular sales page that you want to track. If they go to swiftkickingtheads.com / this isn't a real URL, don't go there. That one is. swiftkickingtheads.com / Amanda is the best. If you go to that URL, it doesn't exist. I should make it real. And I want to track everyone who has just been to that URL only and who have not actually checked out, then I might go ahead and teach my pixel and create a custom conversion saying, hey, Facebook, if somebody goes to this particular URL, if they hit this page view, this very specific page view, that's important to me. I want to know when it happens. Or if you want to set up things like... Okay, I got this. I also want to give a giant shout out to Angie, who is in the house too. Angie is a member of Swift Kick in the Ads, and she is absolutely, she's amazing. I love her to bits and pieces. So I'm really glad that Angie is here. So then let's say you've got a WordPress site, you got your pixel installed on there, it's tracking page views. And now you get to the point where you want to track more than just a page view. Maybe you want to track when people are signing up for your email list on your website. Or maybe you want to track when somebody does hit a checkout page on your website. So there are these things called standard events. And they're called standard because they're pretty standard across a lot of businesses. So a lot of businesses want to track some pretty standard things, such as an add to cart or a checkout or a subscribe. What else have we got here? We have donation. There's quite a few of them. I think there's around 12 of them that are standard events. And there are different events based on different industries as well. So standard events, there used to be a whole ton of them, but now they are really becoming a lot more standardized. So these standard events are common things that most people want to track if that type of event happens on your website. We'll just use purchase as the example. Now, if you have that WordPress site and you've put your pixel on there and just out of the box, the only thing that it came with is just tracking page views, there's a little bit of additional configuration and setup you need to do. So there's this really cool thing called the Events Setup tool. So you can access that through Events Manager inside Facebook. And oh, wait, does that mean that this is Mike? this is Mike. Mike is in the house. Oh, I'm so glad you guys are here. This makes me so happy. You guys are geeking out with me on the topic that I like geek out on the most. Okay, so we're back to, we want to track purchases, for example, and we now need to go back to our Pixel and Facebook, and we need to tell Facebook where on our website a purchase happens. Because we've just installed the Pixel out of the box, it's only tracking page view, and because it's not jacked up and all, super amazing like Shopify, Facebook doesn't know where the purchase happens on our website. Facebook's looking at all this code, looking at your site and like, where's the purchase? Little help, like getting a roadmap here. Can somebody please tell me where this purchase is happening because I don't see it. So you got to tell Facebook where it's happening. So you can use the events setup tool from within Events Manager in Facebook. Use the event setup tool. It's going to launch a version of your website, and you'll be able to click and identify different buttons and say to Facebook, hey, Facebook, if somebody clicks on this button right here, that's a purchase. So I want you to track it as a purchase, and I'm going to save that button. And now every time somebody hits one of those buttons, that's a purchase. Oh, and hey, Facebook, by the way, this button over here, that's a subscribe. If somebody clicks on that button, they have subscribed to my website. So let's call them a subscribe, which is a standard event. So there are a whole bunch of different standard events, and you just need to teach Facebook where those events are taking place on your website. And that event setup tool is really awesome. It has an automatic, actually, let me see if I can even pull up an example for you. It's hard. This is the one hard topic to talk about because if I screen share, you see everybody's pixels that I touch. So that's why I'm trying to just get around this without screen sharing my events manager. But I think I can pull up an example of the events setup tool in action to show you. So just bear with me 2 seconds here while I'm navigating to this, waiting for it to load, and then I can screen share. Let me go, I'm going into my settings. I'm going down into events setup tool. I know you can't see this right yet. Open event setup tool because I don't want to show you that screen. Put in the Digital Gal website. If you want to learn how to do all this, by the way, taking the Facebook Ads 4-week bootcamp, become a SwiftKick and the Ads member, take the bootcamp, and we dig into how this works. Okay, let's see if that's loading. There it is. Okay. I'm going to screen share because I don't mind screen sharing and stuff on the fly. Let's see if this will... Okay, so I'm on my website. So you can see that I have my Events Manager tab is open here. And I'm not going to show you that. But over here, what I did is I clicked on, from Events Manager, I clicked on the Open Event Setup tool. It asked me to enter my website URL, so I typed in my website URL. And then it launched my website, but it also added this little window here. This window isn't a part of my website. This is something separate. This is Facebook's Event Setup tool right here. So I can already see I've got some buttons that are tracking. If I scroll down, I'll see some green buttons down here somewhere. There's one right there. So free Facebook ads glossary, it's tracking. And I also have one down here for subscribe. That's also tracking. So I've got a view content on the page and I have a subscribe. If I click on track new button, look at Facebook has already has detected what other buttons are on here I can track. I can go, ooh, if somebody clicks on SwiftKick and the Ads membership, yeah, I want to know if someone is clicking on that. And if I click down this drop-down menu, I can see all of the different standard events. So if I scroll down, there are things like add to cart, initiate checkout. Are they a lead? So if someone clicks on that, do I consider them a lead? No, I don't consider somebody a lead unless I'm getting their information, like an email address or name. They're not making a purchase. I can keep scrolling down. Add payment info, add to wish list, complete registration, all these things. In my case, none of these things are really appropriate, I'd say, except for view content. If someone's clicking on that button, it's a significant move to me. I'd like to know if they are tracking that, if they are clicking on that. I don't have any dollar value associated with them clicking on it, so don't include any value and confirm. And now you notice it has the little green mark beside it. And then I would click on Finish Setup and track as a view content, finish. And my experience was excellent. And thanks for helping us improve. And I'm going to stop screen share here. Because what you would do is you would hit done and it'll just close out that website. and it'll bounce you right back into Events Manager, where you can go and test those events and see if they're actually firing the way that you expected them to. So that's what the Events Setup tool is. So that's Facebook's way. By the way, the Event Setup tool hasn't always been around, and it doesn't track every single button. Facebook's kind of scanning your site for what it sees as buttons, and then allows you to add those events, attach those events onto those specific buttons. And then it'll apply the same to all the buttons on that page or throughout your site that are pointing to the same place. So the Event Setup tool hasn't always been around. Old school, we used to have to actually go and grab like a tiny little additional little like 3-line snippet of code and go and embed it into the button. Yet, I don't know how long ago it was, but chatted, wow, 5 years ago, that was the biggest pain in the ass. Yes, it was. It was a big pain to have to go and hard code your standard events into the buttons, and you couldn't do that without a web developer or unless you could access the coding yourself. So that was back in the day. So the Event Setup tool is a really handy little thing that makes it easier for a lot of us. But no two websites are the same. Sometimes you can't track everything, especially when you have a checkout page that opens in an iframe. You know how like you stay on the page and all of a sudden like a little window, pop-up window, whoop, comes up and your checkout process happens inside there, but your URL at the top doesn't change at all. That's like a Facebook advertiser's nightmare for trying to track those events. That's just, yes, it's not fun. But that's essentially, so we're talking about standard events. Everything I showed you there, from add to cart, checkout, wish list, donate, subscribe, view content, those are all standard events. That's what a standard event is. They're just sort of a preset amount of different types of events that a lot of advertisers do like to track, and they can you can associate that with different actions on your website. Next, we're going to jump into what are custom conversions, but I also want to give some giant shout outs. We have Lisa Noble Kennedy in the house. Good evening from Clovis, California. And we also have Lachey is here. What do we need access to see the Events Manager if we're setting this up for someone else? So ideally what you're going to want to have in order to set this up is you want to have Business Manager. First and foremost, Business Manager. And then you also, you need to go into Events Manager. And you can either create the pixel from inside Events Manager, or you can create the pixel from inside Business Manager. And once the pixel is created, you'll follow through all the setup instructions for how to set up that pixel on that person's website. And that last step of that guided creation will be putting you into the Event Setup tool. And if you already have a pixel, if you're already working with a client who already has their pixel existing, you can go into Events Manager and under the Settings tab, scroll all the way down, and you will see the Event Setup tool as an option. So you can check that out. So if you don't have the pixel on your website, you can't do any of that. So it's a moot point. So let's talk custom conversions. Then we're going to talk, can I run ads without a pixel? So if you're just jumping on right now, we are talking everything to do with pixels, Facebook pixels specifically. We've covered off what is a pixel, where do you put it, where can you get yours, which is inside Events Manager. We've talked standard events. We're going to talk custom conversions and can you run ads without a pixel? Heads up, the answer to that is yes. In the meantime, I also want to give a huge, huge thank you to the sponsor of this show, What in the Ads is Going On. I want to give a huge shout out to Restream, because a lot of you are seeing me in various different groups. So I'm in different groups right now on Facebook. I'm also live on YouTube, and that is all thanks to the power of Restream. So Restream allows me to multi-stream to different locations and reach all of your lovely faces in all of these different places. Oh yeah, look at that. Received a personal card from you last week, and that was so impressive. You are a class act. Thank you. Thank you very much, Doug. I really appreciate that. If you're watching and you want to get a card in the mail, I send out Digital Gal stickers, and I have some super secret keywords of how you can get one of these. So if you wander on over to the Digital Gal's Facebook page. It has to be on my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/thedigitalgal. You can go onto any post on that page and you can type in a super special secret keyword on any of those posts. And I'll give you that keyword. That keyword is outstanding. So if you go onto any of my posts has to be on the Digital Gal Facebook page. Type in the word outstanding in any of the comments on any of the posts, and it's going to trigger my BF, my bot friend, not my boyfriend, my bot friend. And my bot friend is going to ask you for a mailing address, and then I'm going to physically go and write you a letter, stick this in an envelope with an actual real stamp, and send that your way. And I don't care if you're in Canada, if you're in the US, if you're in the UK, if you're in Australia, if you're in New Zealand, if you are in South Africa, I send them everywhere. So a lot of people, I'm actually surprised with the number of people who take me up on this, and it's pretty neat because I like to be able to put something really cool in the hands of people. Other little tidbit before we jump onto the last part about pixels is if you are a member of Swift Kick in the Ads, I have a really awesome gift coming your way. They just arrived at the very end of, or beginning of, end of last week. Anyway, we've got I finally have some really cool things that have arrived that I'm very, very excited about. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag yet on what it is, but I have a really awesome gift coming for all of the current active Swift Kick in the Ads members. So if you're not a member of Swift Kick in the Ads, and if you're enjoying this Pixel conversation, I have a deeper dive Q&A session for all of my Swift Kick in the Ads members this coming Friday. You can sign up at swiftkickintheads.com, become a member, and you too will get on this list of getting that really awesome gift that I'm really excited about, and I can't wait to put those in your hands. And if you have been on any of my open office hours in the membership and you have any idea what that gift is, don't spill the beans until they arrive, okay? Shh. All right. Evie, I'm going to get mail. Girl, you're going to get mail. You're going to get mail. It's coming. I'm so excited. Okay. All right. You guys will be, by sometime the next week or possibly the week after, you guys will be seeing all of that drop, and I'm really excited. Okay. So, away from the stickers, away from the Swift Kick in the Ads. If you're not a member, go check it out at swiftkickintheads.com. Let's get back to talking pixels. So, again, just quick recap for those of you that are jumping on. We're talking about the basics, but I'm trying to help break down some of the why of why are we using these pixels? What are they? What are they actually doing? Why do we need them? Because at the end of this conversation, we're going to just touch the edge of tip of the iceberg on the whole issue with what the issue with our pixels and Apple's iOS 14 update that is going to strip away a lot of our targeting and reporting ability. So I don't like that part. So we're not there yet. We're not there yet. Let's talk custom conversions. Let's talk about running ads without pixels, and then we'll circle back to that. All right, so custom conversions. We talked about standard events. Those are the pretty standardized things that a lot of advertisers want to track. Facebook has given us some standardized lists, and they've given us the event setup tool to be able to help tell Facebook and train your pixel where on your website those events are taking place. Because when you send traffic over to your website, and that person, those individuals, the traffic, those individuals that are on your site are taking activities and actions and doing things on your site, Facebook, unless you have that pixel on your site, Facebook is lost. They can't see what people are doing. If you do have that pixel on the site, Facebook can see that somebody arrived at the site, but until you train the pixel and do some additional setup, Facebook has no idea on that giant roadmap. They're like lost and like, well, where did the purchase happen again? Where? And you got to tell Facebook where that purchase happened on your site. Usually that's with the event setup tool and standard events. But sometimes you want to be able to tell Facebook based on a URL, which we touched on a little bit earlier. So if somebody hits on a specific URL, like your sales page or your thank you page, you can set up a custom conversion and you can call it anything you want. So it doesn't have to be a purchase. It can be Amanda's super secret special amazing offer. It can be whatever you want to call it. You can name create a custom conversion, call it whatever you want, but the difference between standard events and custom conversions, it's pretty simple. Custom conversions are tracking URLs. Standard events allow you to track button clicks and certain actions that are on your website that don't just involve a URL, but a custom conversion is tracking based on a URL, and you can call it whatever you want. So there is a little bit of crossover that does happen in the back end and what that is, but just at a very, very basic level, that's all it is. So if you hear people talking about standard events, custom conversions, they are all kind of under that umbrella of events, and all it is customizing your pixel so that, or it's customizing your site to give additional little, I guess, think of it like your pixel's already on your site. Your pixel is your pixel. It doesn't change. It stays the same. It's in the header. But it's almost like dropping additional little beacons of light throughout your site in different important spots to tell Facebook, wait, we're like, hey, over here, purchase is right here. Facebook purchase is right here. So it's communicating to your pixel to say, hey, that traffic that landed on your site, this is where the purchase happens. When somebody does this, send that information back to Facebook and tell your ads that this ad resulted in a purchase. So then what do we do with all that information? Cool. We've done some event setup, and now we've got our pixel on. We have our events already tracking, or if you're using Shopify where it already came out of the box and you don't even need to worry about the event setup tool, then we're starting to track all of this really cool data that's happening. So what do you do with it? Well, we can do a couple things with it. We can either create audiences of people who have taken that action and retarget them with ads. So we can make audiences, go after those people, follow them around with additional ads. Or we can create ads to say to Facebook, hey, remember all those people who purchased on my website? Cool. Can you go find me more people like that? That would be great. So you can create a lookalike audience based on that. And crossover, and at the same time or separately, whatever. You can also create ads and optimize them for different events. So what do I mean by that? I can create ads and I can make the whole purpose of that ad, the whole objective, the entire reason for that campaign, that ad campaign, is for a conversion, which is a particular event. So if I want to run a conversion campaign and I want to run that campaign for purchase events, then what I'm saying is, hey, Facebook, I want you to go and run these ads, but the whole purpose and goal of these ads is to try to get more purchases to take place. So Facebook is going to take that information. They're going to optimize your ads differently than they would an ad that was optimized for video views, or an ad that was optimized for just clicks to the website only, or an ad that was optimized for engagement, which is likes, clicks, comments, and shares. So depending on what your overall objective is, Facebook is going to optimize that campaign very differently. And when I say optimize, they do a whole bunch of stuff in the back end that involves where your ad is going to be placed. Facebook has a whole lot of inventory available. Well, not a ton available, because we have a lot of advertisers on the platform who are competing against you for that same ad inventory. But there are so many inventory units of ads available where you can have ads show up in different placements in the news feed. Ads can show up on Instagram. Ads can show up in Instagram stories. They can show up in Facebook Marketplace. They can show up in search. They can show up in the groups feed, which is not inside a group. Just there's a big difference there. But there's all of these different placements. So there's lots of different ad inventory units available. In order for your ad to show up in one of those placements, Facebook is going to kind of go, all right, well, are we going for video views here? No. Are we going for engagement? No. We are going for conversion events. And which conversion event do we want? Purchases. And how are we going to get it? By putting that ad in very specific places and showing it to very specific people based on all the knowledge that your pixel has learned. And if your pixel hasn't been taught that information, and you're trying to run a conversion ad and Facebook doesn't have that roadmap, you haven't told Facebook where those things happen, Facebook is running blind. They'll still run a conversion campaign for you, and they just don't have enough data to actually make it effective for you. So instead of spending all the money, because those conversion campaigns are usually a little more pricey than things like video views or engagement. So no two objectives are the same. They have different costs in behind them. So try not to spend all this money going after the holy grail of purchase conversions and optimizing your ads for purchases if you don't have any data to give Facebook to tell Facebook where those purchases are taking place. Or if you don't have more than 50 of those conversion events happening within a 7-day period of time, then you don't have enough data to play with. You're not giving Facebook enough information to be able to go and optimize and find additional people who are most likely to take that action. So in that case, you're better stepping it down a notch and going after a different objective that is a little more cost effective. So there's some strategy behind that. And if you want to learn the strategy portion of it, I also cover that in the 4-week Facebook Ads Bootcamp. That's on week 3. So again, that bootcamp kicks off in May. On May the 4th be with you is when we kick off the next bootcamp. So if you're not already a member of Swift Kick in the Ads, that's how you get the bootcamp. And you can head to swiftkickintheads.com and check that out. So that leads us, so we've covered off a lot. I know we've covered off a lot here. We're starting to get a little geekier here. I'm going to touch on, can we run ads without a pixel? The answer is yes. I'll talk about that for a couple minutes here. And then I'll just talk for a couple minutes on the iOS 14 changes that are rolling out and how that basically means everything I'm telling you about your pixel. We can almost like throw it out the window right now. I'm being a little dramatic. We don't throw it all out the window. We're just throwing half of it out the window. It's a little stressful. It's fine. All right. So can you run ads without a pixel? Yeah, you can. You have a lot of objectives to choose from. Lots of objectives that you can use that don't involve a pixel. So ones that do involve a pixel, well, if you are sending traffic off of Facebook to a website and you know what, Rose, you're in it. Once you're in the bootcamp, you're in it for life, by the way. I don't know if everybody is fully aware of that, but if you're in the bootcamp, not everybody who's in the bootcamp is a member of Swift Kick in the Ads, but even if you become a member of Swift Kick in the Ads and you cancel at a later date, I don't kick you out of the bootcamp. You're there for life. You get to put up with me in the bootcamp forever. But that's because Facebook keeps changing so often that if you've ever paid me to learn Facebook ads at one point or another, you can always have access to the foundational trainings because it changes often and I want you to keep current. So that's what's going on over there. So Rose, dive in. Anybody who has already taken the bootcamp, I highly recommend that you retake portions of this May one or catch the replays if you want of the May one, because the iOS 14 updates are going to have a big impact. So what I taught back in February is not necessarily going to be identical to what's happening here in May. All right, so can you run ads without a pixel? Yes, there are some objectives. Like say we want to, this is why I got your back, girl. I got you. This is exactly why I built the program the way I did, so that nobody gets left behind. So come learn ads. Come stay current with ads. All right, so running ads without a pixel. Totally cool. You can absolutely do it. For example, I'm working with an author right now, and unfortunately, the majority of the traffic that we're sending off of Facebook, we're sending over to Amazon. I can't put the pixel on Amazon. So I'm sending a whole lot of traffic and clicks off into the great wild, and Facebook loses complete visibility. As soon as that click happens and they're off Facebook, we lose information. We have no idea what happens. So there are some other tactics and strategies that we can use to work around that or work with that. But I'm sending traffic to a site that I can't put a pixel on. So can I still run those ads? Yeah. Can I build website retargeting audiences based on people who have gone off to Amazon? Nope. Because as soon as they leave Facebook, I lose visibility of them. Other things such as, okay, once I send that traffic off to Amazon and someone makes a purchase, can I tell they made a purchase? No. So I can't use conversion objective ads because it doesn't make any sense. I don't have any data. There's nothing. It's blank. It's empty. So there's no point in using conversion objectives. So there's different objectives, but depending on what objective you choose, some of them require you to have a pixel installed to use them. For example, so I can use a traffic objective for my campaign. And traffic basically means website clicks. Think of it that way, like a click on a link off of Facebook. That's what traffic means. So I can have a traffic objective, a click on a link going off of Facebook. Anybody watch TikTok? In my mind, I'm like, wee! Oh, anybody else live like day by day with everything you say being like replayed and like, what TikTok would that fit into? So we're sending those clicks off of Facebook. Wee! And if we have a pixel if we're able to install a pixel on the website we're sending them to, then we can keep tracking and we have more visibility of what's happening. If we're sending them to a site that we don't have visibility to, then we can't track to that level. But it's also going to change how we're going to optimize those ads. And again, this is what you'll learn in week 4 of the 4-week Facebook Ads Bootcamp, you're going to learn the different optimizations. So if I have a traffic objective campaign that I'm creating, you can optimize that ad either for link clicks or for landing page views. And again, we started off really simple, guys. We're not going to get too geeky, but just stay with me for this one part, okay? Stay with me for this one part here. Yes, squirrel. So true. Oh, this is this makes me feel so good. I love seeing this. Thank you, Lorena. All right, so stay with me for this one part. Link click versus landing page view. If you have a pixel on your website or the site that you are sending this traffic, this link click off, or say this click off to, URL click, whatever. If they're clicking the button in your ad, if they're clicking the link in your ad, and they're going off to an external website, if you have your pixel on that site that you're sending them to, then you want to optimize that for a landing page view, not a link click. If you don't have the pixel, then you're going to want to optimize for a link click. What's the difference? If you are asking Facebook just to go get you link clicks, that's all Facebook is going to do. They're going to optimize your ads. They're going to put it in different placements, in different ad inventory units all across their whole network, in places where that ad is most primed to get the most clicks, link clicks. But a link click isn't a landing page view. A landing page view is somebody clicked the link and they made it to the website where the pixel is. And that pixel is like, oh, hey, let's call Facebook. Hey, Facebook, that traffic you sent me, they made it here. Cool, thanks. Click. That's what's going on. So that's a landing page view. When that phone call happens from your website and they're reporting back to Facebook going, hey, that traffic made it here, that's a landing page view. And that's so much more valuable to you than somebody clicking on a link but not necessarily making it to your website. Anything can happen in between them clicking that link and then realizing, ooh, I'm going to abandon that click. I didn't actually want to click on that ad. I was trying to play my Scrabble game. So that's an abandoned click, but that still counts as a link click. And that's what you ask Facebook for. So they're going to take that ad, they're going to shove it in a whole bunch of audience network placements for inventory where you're going to get a ton of clicks on that ad. They're not necessarily intentional clicks, but you're getting lots of clicks. So you get a higher volume of clicks. So it looks like your ad costs are a lot lower because I can get a whole bunch of clicks at like 18 cents a click. Cool. But not all of those clicks are actually making it to my site. So then over here, if I have a landing page view and I'm optimizing for a landing page, then it's going to appear like it's more expensive. But that's because not all the link clicks are actually arriving on your site, having that phone call go back from your site back over to Facebook to say, hey, that traffic made it here, that report back. So those are a lot more valuable to you, and there's a lot fewer of them. And when I say a lot, like imagine if you had 500 link clicks to your website, but out of those 500, only 400 actually made it there. So that's a significant difference, and that's going to have a big impact on the appearance of your cost per click. So cost per, and by the way, the last time I go down the rabbit hole, and then I'll pull it back right here, there's also a difference between clicks, like all clicks. An all click in your Facebook ads, it's literally any click on that entire ad whatsoever. If somebody clicked on see more, to the ... see more to see more information on the text. If somebody clicked on a picture to view the picture larger. If somebody clicked anywhere on that ad, not necessarily on a link, not on your call to action, that counts as an all click. So there's all clicks. So maybe I had 1,000 all clicks. Maybe I had 500 link clicks. And maybe I only had 400 landing page views. So the cost per any click is going to be peanuts. It's going to be cents, like 2 cents, 3 cents. And then if I look at my link clicks, maybe I'm looking at like 18 cents. And then if I'm looking at my landing page views, maybe I'm up around 80 cents per landing page view. So just keep in mind, take everything with a grain of salt. You're not necessarily comparing apples to apples, but the more confirmation we can get from Facebook that, hey, that traffic that I'm sending from my ad over to my website actually arrived, that's very valuable, and that's where the value of having your pixel installed on your site comes in handy. I can't believe I've been talking for this long already. I've been geeking out on this. All right, so I'm going to touch on the iOS 14. I'm not going to go deep on that in the next 5 minutes, but yes, because Facebook should know everything. I think Facebook actually does know everything. Trust me. Okay. Sorry, I really geek out on this stuff. I love everything pixel related. I like the geeky tracking stuff. That's where I shine. So then, all right, so we know what a pixel is. And if you're just tuning in now, or if you're catching the back end of this, make sure you go back and watch the replay where we cover off everything to do with exactly what is the pixel. Where do you put it? And as I'm saying this, I'm going to pull up this screen share. That's an example of what a pixel code looks like. Sometimes you don't need the full code. Sometimes the site only wants your pixel ID. That's what a pixel ID looks like. And of course, I've just got parts of mine blanked out, so you're not taking my pixel and putting it in random places, because that's bad. Don't do that. All right, so now we know what a pixel is. Where do you put it in the header of your website? Spoiler alert. Where can you get yours? You can get yours either from Events Manager or inside Business Manager. What can you do with it? You can track standard events, or you can track custom conversions. We went over what the difference is between those. Can you run ads without a pixel? Heck yeah, you can. But you'll get to a deeper level of tracking and information and targeting if you are using your pixel. And quick tidbit, if you want to check to verify that your pixel is on your website, you can use Google Chrome. There's a little Chrome plugin called the Facebook Pixel Helper. Add that to your Chrome plugins, and you can see any website you go to, you'll be able to see if it has a pixel on it or not, and you'll be able to see the pixel number. So you can cross-reference that with what your ad account and your events manager is saying. Okay, so then last but not least, so now I've talked about what the pixel is, all these wonderful bells and whistles and benefits of all the things that you can track with it, and the visibility it gives us, the way you can optimize your ads, the way you can build audiences based on this. And now Apple's taking a lot of it away from us. So I am of the camp, there's two sides of this argument here. There's the one side of the argument where people don't want to be tracked. I totally get it. You don't want to be tracked. We are tracked on everything. You don't want the Big Brother effect. You don't want to have all of these advertisements follow you around. I understand. So there's that group of people. Then there are people like me. I'm the advertiser. I'm like, oh, give me the data. Let me have all the data, because then I can eliminate the people out of my audiences that really just don't care about these ads. I never want to be the advertiser putting an ad in front of you that you really don't want to see. I don't want to spend my money on you. I don't want to make your browsing and user experience a crappy experience. I want it to be good. And I use the example of Swarovski jewelry. I love Swarovski jewelry. I wish I had an endless budget for it. And I will on purpose go to their website, click around a little bit, so that it keeps showing up in my news feed, and I keep getting all of their ads and see all the latest and greatest. I love it. I like that. Now, when Apple flips the switch on, what is it, the 26th, April 26th? What are we today? 21st, 23rd, 26th? What day is it releasing? I'll double check that. It's either the 23rd or the 26th. Imminently, by next week, Apple's flipping the switch, and they are turning up the volume on app tracking transparency. What that means is that when you go to use an app on an iOS device, that's iPhones, iPads, a mobile Apple device, if you go to Facebook, the app, you're going to get a prompt. It's not just Facebook. I'm just using Facebook as the example. It's going to be all different apps that are using tracking in the background. You're going to get a prompt, and it's going to say, hey, Facebook is using your location, or blah, blah, blah. Do you want to continue allowing Facebook to track you? Well, what answer do you think 99% of consumers are going to choose? No, don't track me. I don't want to be tracked. But here's the thing. A lot of users are absolutely clueless that if you opt out and you're like, you know what, Facebook, you can't track me. Nope. Guess what? Doesn't mean you're going to see less ads. No, you're going to see the same volume of ads. It's just the difference between, if I were to opt out, now instead of me seeing all of those beautiful Swarovski jewelry pieces that I lust over all the time, now I'm going to be getting shown ads for baby formula. And I don't have kids. Or I'm going to be getting all of these engagement ring, wedding photographer, or a whole bunch of ads that, yes, my age and my demographic might fit the bill for that, but my specific browsing habits don't even have anything to do with that at all. Although let me tell you, the flip side of all of this is that when you work in advertising and you're constantly on a whole bunch of different websites on behalf of a lot of other clients, it definitely skews your browsing history and gives you some really interesting ads. That's for sure. So I personally want the personalized ad experience because it makes it a lot better for me. If I have to be shown the ads anyway, I'd rather see ads I want to see instead of seeing ads that are absolute garbage, have nothing to do with me, that I'm not interested in. So by opting out, you are creating your own much more poor user experience. So a lot of people don't realize that's what's happening. But what is actually happening is that when you opt out, you're saying, you know what? No, Facebook can't track me. What you're saying is that, hey, I, as Amanda Robinson, as a user, when I now go to that Swarovski site, and I've already I've opted out of tracking, I go to that Swarovski site, Swarovski can't track me with the pixel and can't add me to audiences and can't serve me ads based on my interests and behaviors. They lose visibility to that. So where we're looking at all these different standard events, you can track the add to cart and you can track the abandoned cart, you can track the purchase and you can track the page view. Not anymore. Nope. On Apple devices where people have opted out, you can't track those anymore. So what does that mean? Well, think about it this way. If we have, and I'm going to wrap it up very soon. I know I'm going overtime here. If we have ads that are, so the majority of your ad performance is going to come from mobile delivery. So ads on mobile, not necessarily ads on desktop. Ads on desktop can perform really well, but for most of us, like just in general, most of the ads are delivering on the mobile network, and most of the clicks and the conversions and activity and everything is happening from mobile network. What's the actual split on Android to iOS or Android to Apple devices that these ads are showing up on? It's about a 50-50 split. So if the majority of iOS users are opting out of tracking on all of these apps, then we're taking 50% of the ad traffic that we have and we're turning the lights off. We're just switching those light bulbs off, and we now no longer have visibility to what's happening with 50% of that traffic. What is that going to do to our reporting? It's going to just make it a hot mess. On top of that, Facebook has implemented a whole bunch of things in the back end, including making sure you have your domain verified, which you do in Business Manager, making sure you turn on two-factor authentication, just do that anyway, and making sure you rank all of those events we talked about, those standard events that we love. There's so many things we can track. There's so many things we can do with it. Facebook is like, well, hold up. Actually, instead of all of those ones you can track, we're going to need you to pick 8. And then we're going to need you to rank those 8 in order of importance to you. So is a page view important? Not really. Is a view content important? Well, it's more important than a page view. Is an add to cart important? Well, yeah, it's more important than a view content. And is a purchase more important? Yeah, like that's ultra important. So if you could only track just one of those things in a user journey, if Apple is pulling away the ability to track, but Apple's like, you know what, you can track one. We'll give you one. Then you have to rank them in order of priority. And that's what's happening in the background. And that's why you're probably getting a ton of warnings in your ad account saying you need to continue setting up and preparing for the iOS 14 update. So everything we just talked about here with pixels and all that fun stuff that's going on that you can do with a pixel, we're losing some of that once this switch gets flipped by next week. And that's going to send a lot of advertisers into a little bit of chaos for a little while here while we all try to figure out what that actually means for the quality of our audiences, for the actual tracking that we have available. Nobody really knows until we're there. So in the meantime, I'm keeping my schedule fairly open for the chaos that may ensue. I'm not anticipating anything terrible happening, but I do think that all this little battle that's going on behind the scenes with Facebook and Apple and tracking and Facebook trying to rejig their whole system to accommodate these new, the new changes. I personally think it's wreaking havoc in the ads network right now. I think our ad costs are through the roof, and everything I'm touching right now is just nothing's performing the way it used to. It just feels like Facebook's having like a little fit right now. We just got to wait it out. We just have to wait it out, see where it's going to go, and just follow things down the rabbit hole to make changes where we need to make changes and configure additional setups wherever we need to. So if you want to learn more about how to set everything up, you're going to be learning more about that in the 4-week Facebook Ads Bootcamp that kicks off on May 4th, runs through the first 4 weeks of May. And you learn everything from creating ads to audiences and targeting, and that's where the iOS 14 stuff is going to come in really handy. Budgets and strategy, and the strategy side, again, is going to come in really handy depending on what we have access to, what we lose visibility to, and then reporting and optimizing. So, and again, optimizing is going to be another area that's probably going to get hit with this. So if you want to learn all of that, make sure you check out the 4-week Facebook Ads Bootcamp by becoming a member of Swift Kickin' the Ads over at swiftkickingtheads.com. Definitely want to check that out. And if you do become a member before Friday, I have a whole Q&A session for members specifically this coming Friday, just related to the iOS 14 rollout and what changes you need to make inside your account to prepare for it, and just to help members navigate through that whole experience. So this was a giant overview, and if you really want to go on a deep dive or ask questions specific to your own ad account, or if you need troubleshooting with that, become a member. I can help you with that. And we also have our open office hours every Monday where you can jump on a Zoom call and screen share with me, chat with me. There's usually a handful of us on the call. There's some really, really, really amazing questions that get asked in those office hours. I don't record those on video because I want them a safe place for people to share data and ask hard questions without having that put back out on replay. So, okay, there we go. I think this one went longer than I expected. I really geek out on everything pixels. I hope you enjoyed this one too. If you are interested in learning more about this stuff, head on over to either thedigitalgal.com or swiftkickingtheads.com. Check that out. This show is multi-streaming, broadcasting across multiple platforms right now, thanks to the power of Restream. If you want to check out Restream yourself, you can head over to thedigitalgal.com/Restream. Sign yourself up for a free account. Check it out. And if you really want to see the full power of Restream, including their own broadcasting studio that is so simple and easy, user-friendly for even the most basic of users who are not hardcore into live streaming, but you want to dip your toes in the water, go sign up for that free account, thedigitalgal.com/Restream. And tomorrow, you're going to be able to see this in full action with the video marketing show. So each week, I have 2 shows. This one, What in the Ads is Going On, where I deep geek on Facebook ads. And then I have the video marketing show, where I talk everything about video marketing, and especially ads-related video marketing. And tomorrow, we're digging into Creator Studio. So if you want to learn everything to do about Creator Studio and how you can leverage the power of that for your videos and your video marketing, you're going to want to check out that broadcast happening tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific. And if you are live streaming and you want to learn how you can repurpose those live streams into your Facebook ads, then you're definitely going to want to tune in at 9:30 a.m. on Friday to Digital Confetti with Stephanie Liu. She's having me on the show, and I'm so excited. I can't wait to geek out with her over there. All right, I've talked way too long. I think that's everything. Oh yeah, last wrap it up. If you want one of those stickers, head over to thedigitalgal.com. No, facebook.com/thedigitalgal. And type in the super secret keyword for this week, which is outstanding. You can type that on any of the posts. Has to be on the Digital Gals Facebook page, and I will send you one of these. Big shout out to everybody who tuned in live. Daryl, it's great to see you here. You're hopping on right at the very end here. And Daryl, Rose, Mike, Lorena, Evie, Angie, Doug, Lachey, who else we've got in here? Sean, Annette, Chad, Pressy, Alicia, everyone else that I've missed, thank you very, very much for geeking out with me tonight on What in the Ads is Going On. We'll be back again next week with more geeky topics. Same time, same place. And yeah, I'm going to cut it off there. Okay, done talking. Love you guys. Here's the exit. Ciao.